Hi, I'm David Green. My student number is 150293995. This is my presentation video for practical musicianship for temporary music performance BMUS course. In this video I'm going to explain my practice routine and talk about my recital and how it went and how it could have gone better and what I'm going to do in the future. So my practice routine was to start with what I usually kick off with is what's called a random note finder, which basically your aim is to play every note on the fretboard and familiarise yourself with the notes on the fretboard and where they are to help you to be able to, if someone asks you to play a D, you'll be able to play a D in many different places on the neck and not just in the one, so you can move around more freely. And that starts by, you start at the lowest octave, which on this bass is a 5 string and it's a B, and you go all the way up to your highest octave, which is up there on the G, but you go through all of them, so B, 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 and then you ascend as well all the way back down to the B again, and you do that moving chromatically all the way up until you get to the B flat right there, and once you get there you play all the way up and then all the way back down, and then you've actually played every single note on the fretboard. When you ascend you play them as, if you're on a flat or a sharp you play them as flats, and then when you descend you play them as sharp. So if we're playing from the E flat there, when we come back down it's actually a D sharp. Then what I'd move on to is I start doing a chromatic exercise which helps to warm up the hands. So once you've warmed up your mind, you get to warm up your hands as well. So start by the first one literally, which is a chromatic movement going from moving through each finger, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and you stick with each fret as well, so using the first 4 frets. What the aim is to do is go from each octave, so this is again 5 string, so C all the way up to the C right here. So just show you the first one. And then, as I say, working through different variations of that, fingering shapes and variations. I'll play you a different one up here from the 7th fret, and this is 3, 4, 1, 2. So. And yeah, it gets harder and it gets more intense as you go through the pages, and one of the last ones kind of ends on pivoting off one note, so you go yep, so once your hands are nice and warm, I then move on to doing some reading, which I incorporate the LPW tracks or an ensemble track that we're learning that week. Depends on the week in terms of the level of difficulty, but reading is definitely a part of my practice that I want to work on and need to work on a little bit more, as I'll talk about a little bit later in the presentation. But I usually spend about, say, 15 minutes on a warm-up, 20 minutes on a warm-up on the chromatic movements, and then about 15-20 minutes on the reading, and on like syncopation practice, so like clapping and things like that. Again, something I need to work on a little bit more, and I'll explain later. Then I move on, as I say, once I'm still nice and warm, and I've learnt a bit more about the track that we're doing that week. I'll then move on to a slapping and popping, a couple of exercises. So I do a couple of like just general exercises, like a triplet exercise, so 2 thumbs and then a pop. So sorry. And then working faster and faster, building that triplet up. And then I move on to like another technique that we did in class, which incorporates a more percussive side of things from the left hand as well as doing the thumbing and the pull, which just a little kind of groove, which is and then, as I say, so just working in different exercises in the slap bass and slapping and popping. Then I do like some alternate string movements and string skipping exercises. So, for instance, like alternating off the A string. And then variating that again throughout different strings. And I also do a different sort of alternation just on the fingers. So you just say, for instance, just say on one fret, and you accent. So like working on accents as well, and accenting every fourth beat. So we go 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So working in triplets again, but across a beat of 4. And again, different exercises working on different accents. And then I finished the kind of technical side of my practice on like hammer-ons and pull-offs. So and then some hammer-ons. Sorry, pull-off in there as well. But also, you know, working across like strings. So, sorry. And then working the same principle as I did with the first and fourth finger, moving that to. Sorry. Sort of thing like that, and again just moving it up in different variations of it. And then what I move on to is doing like a little bit of raking and stuff like that. Again, I also try to put two techniques into one, which is like utilising like the three fingers working together, so going 3 2 1 or 1 2 3. So for instance, like just on the one fret, so just say here on the 7th fret on the G string, working on that, so 3 2 1 3 2 1 or 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. I also use that and incorporate it into like a scale movement, so sorry. Typically. And then I move on to a little bit of sort of like scales in general. So start off with like majors and minor scales, like natural, harmonic and melodic. So A melodic, minor, and then say for instance do pentatonic stuff, like pentatonic minors. Sorry, my music stands falling over. Typically, that'll do. Stay there. From the 8th fret on the G, sorry, beg your pardon. This position 3, which is in G minor. So. Just like lots of different like random pentatonics and stuff like that that I do as well. I put the blues scale in within the minor sort of practice as well, because it's a similar sort of concepts. Yeah, and just like play like blues scales and blues standards and things like that. 12 bars blues and working that sort of concept into it. the scales behind it. And then like the major scale, I do a little bit of like position practicing. So for instance, again, same sort of concept as the minor with the pentatonics, but more kind of like the chords in full. I'm going to play you position 4 from F, which sounds like this. Sorry, don't need the B. To be honest, I usually practice that on my 4-string, hence why I ended up on the B. But you know, if you're starting up on, say for instance, like position 4 from C on the 5-string here, so. And then I do like working up in triads. Working different positions of those as well. Yeah, I'm working up in different keys and then I do a little bit of like working on like chords and things like that, and chord structures like 7th chords and just, you know, like kind of just normal chords, so like just root 5th and 3rd, root 3rd, 5th, and then root 3rd and the 7th. Also like extensions. I do a little bit of like tapping stuff, but not very much of that, but just putting those extensions in there with the tapping. But so that's in F major, and we're just going through the chords there, just in. And yeah, so I do a little bit of work on that in different keys and like in minor keys and things like that. And I usually kind of like finish my sessions off with a little bit of like modes. I've only just started looking into modes. It's a new world to me. Yeah, a little bit confusing at the time, but so for instance, again, like I was playing, sorry, not again, it's playing C major, and then putting in the F major, which is the perfect 4th in the scale. And we're using the Lydian scale movement of the modes over the C and the F. So doing a little bit of that, and starting to kind of familiarise myself with the modes. But as I say, it's only a small insight that I've started. But yeah, don't spend too much on that, just because I think I still need a little bit of help with that. But we'll get there, as they say. But yeah, as I'll bring my presentation as it comes towards an end. Bring it towards the recital and kind of how things went, and how it could have gone a bit better, and what I can do as we go into the future and into the second year. My recital started. I started with Bach. It didn't go as well as it had gone in the many times that I practiced it, but I got to the end. I'll put it that way, but yeah, in the middle it kind of got quite a bit wobbly. I wasn't consistent in time, and then towards the end it was a little bit. It wasn't as fluid as it had been in previous practicing weeks, or previous weeks in practice, should I say. So yeah, it could have gone a lot better. I think there's two aspects as to kind of why it didn't go as well as it could have, which was firstly and mainly was not following the page. Something I need to work on in my reading, as I mentioned earlier on. Reading is not the best part of my playing at the moment, but something that needs to have good focus on. But actually following the page and following the dots and reading the music in front of me as I'm playing it as well, because I do a lot of recall playing, so like playing things from memory. So once I've learned how to play it, I'll then be able to play it fine. But if it's something quite intricate, like a little Bach piece or something like that, it's staying with the dots, you can get lost, and that's exactly what happened. The other side of it is as well is that I changed my fingering slightly from playing it from like the 5th fret sort of area, and then I moved it kind of over to this area of the neck to incorporate a different the middle section, and I think I got a bit confused as well, so it didn't help. There's two things that knocked it a little bit. Then I moved on to the Autumn Leaves piece, which, to be honest, I felt went quite well. It was it's a nice standard, jazz standard to play, and yeah, the solo was a little bit longer than I think I anticipated, and that was only through because the loop pedal was being controlled by somebody else, and I'm not familiar with loop pedals, as I'll explain in a second about the slap piece. But overall, it was okay. I think it could have gone. Oh well, what I could have done better in general was to kind of prepare a solo a little bit more intricately, and to have a little bit more kind of full direction as to where to go, so that if and like what happened, it was a little bit more extended than was anticipated. I'd then have a little bit more extra, and would have found it more easy to be able to kind of just compromise with the situation and what was going on. But overall, yeah, it was cool. It was a good piece, and I enjoyed playing it, and I thought it was okay. The next piece that I did was the What's Going On, Marvin Gaye. Again, really, I think that really went quite alright. It was really good. I feel I definitely got the feel down quite consistently. There was a couple of sections I've got a score here that I didn't get quite right, but overall I think it was okay. It was good. I enjoyed playing it. If I could have done something better with it, it would have probably been to I don't know. Again, it was like for me, it was I really tried with this piece to focus on the reading, as opposed to just listening to the recordings of what's going on. So that was my struggle. So it did in some aspects it was cool, but some aspects of the notation and the score, it was quite challenging when I was practicing it. But overall, the actual presentation of it in the recital was really good. I felt. The next piece was a slap bass piece that I did, which was again wasn't so great. Again, relying on the loop pedal, same situation. I'm not familiar with loop pedals. I don't have one and don't use them in my general playing, so I'm not very familiar with those. And it didn't go as well. It was a bit out of time in places. And the solo, by the time I came to that section, because it was layered up and looped up, it was a little bit interesting, shall we say. But apart from that, it was okay. But could definitely gone better if I'd have had more knowledge and more time with a loop pedal. Though obviously we had ample time to prepare. It's just I think it was a bit alien to me in that sense. Then I played and finished the playing side of the recital with a piece of my own, which was Open Closed, and yeah, I think my performance of that was really good. There was a section at the end that was a little bit wobbly, but that apart from that, it was fine. I think the majority of that was well presented. After the playing side of the recital, it was then the reading, the sight reading firstly, which I didn't do very well at all, and then it was the rhythm reading as well, again, which didn't go very well at all. Mainly because my sight reading is not nowhere near the level that I would like it to be, and obviously to the level that was required in the recital. But I think, obviously what I can do going forward and moving into the second year is to be able to, spend a lot more time on the reading and try and relate to it as the same way that I kind of do with hearing the notes and being able to understand what they're trying to say. But yeah, mainly spending some more time on it. But yeah, hopefully it'll get better in the future. But yeah, that's all I've got to say. But thank you very much. Nice one.